If you're about a month into the year and already wondering, why do I always fall off by February? This video might help you think about it in a different way. Because the problem isn't your discipline, it's the identity you're trying to build on top of old habits. Because right now is the moment when motivation starts to fade. We are not as consistent with our planners, with our routines or goals, and many women begin slipping back into familiar patterns, not because they don't want to change badly enough, but because life pulls hard, especially in midlife. Research shows that about 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. That's not because people are lazy. It's because most of us try to change outcomes without changing who we are at the core. Hi, I'm Ileana, and if you're new here, I help women in midlife reconnect with their bodies, reset their mindset, and step into this next season with clarity, confidence, and self respect. Today, I want to talk about why goals tend to drop right about now, and more importantly, how to stay connected to your momentum without burning out, shaming yourself, or starting over again next January. Because growth at this stage of life isn't about pushing harder, it's about becoming more aligned and letting that alignment carry you forward, one intentional choice at a time. James Clear explains this way: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, habits, and identity. In other words, it's not your motivation or intentions that determine your results. It's what you do consistently, especially on the days you're tired, overwhelmed, or uninspired. That's why habits and identity matter much more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but your habits carry you forward long after motivation fails. In the past, I set every goal you can imagine: better health, a stronger body, more confidence, a business, deeper relationships. And I wanted those things deeply, but I struggled to stay consistent. And I couldn't understand why. What I've learned is this: my habits, thoughts, and identity didn't match the life that I was trying to create. So instead of becoming the woman who supported those goals, I defaulted to familiar comforts. I scrolled, I watched Netflix. Instead of learning, I avoided being seen. Instead of building confidence on camera. This is what behavioral science calls an identity mismatch. Because real change doesn't work like this: goals, habits, identity. Instead, it should be identity, habits, outcomes. Psychologist Dr. Albert Bandura research on self-efficacy shows that when we see ourselves as someone who, rather than someone trying to get something, we're far more likely to follow through long term. If you're only chasing a result, like losing 20 pounds, you're relying on motivation, and motivation fades. But when you become the woman who prioritizes her health daily, who keeps promises to herself, who chooses growth even when it's uncomfortable, your brain begins to reinforce those behaviors automatically. And that's how momentum lasts beyond February. So if you want this year to truly look different, you don't need more goals. You need an identity shift, because you can't act differently without first becoming different. But before you build on a new identity, you first need to ask yourself these powerful questions. Question number one: am I done reverting back to my old identity when things get hard? True change doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in discomfort. If every time life feels uncomfortable, you fall back into old habits, your identity has not shifted. Question number two: am I willing to release old comforts to support the woman I'm becoming? Change in midlife isn't about dramatic overhauls, it's about the quiet daily choices we make when no one is watching. that evening scrolling, the daily sugar just to cope, the habits that feel comfortable in the moment, but keep you stuck in the same cycle. Question number three, am I committed to becoming the person I need to be, not just getting the outcome? That's the key difference between short term motivation and lasting change. I don't want occasional confidence on camera. I want to be someone who feels confident even when unseen. It's not just wanting the outcome, it's being that person. That shift is what holds momentum beyond February. Question four, am I ready to stop entertaining the disempowering thoughts that keep me small? This is a powerful one because your thoughts aren't just background noise, they are the operating system running your life. Research in cognitive and behavioral psychology show that repeated self talk shapes identity, influences behavior, and even impacts motivation and resilience. When a thought is repeated often enough, your brain treats it as truth and your nervous system responds accordingly. Thoughts like, I'm inconsistent, I don't have what it takes, it's too late for me, those aren't facts. They are learned narratives and they quietly lock you into your old identity. When you rehearse them, your brain predicts failure even before it begins, which makes change feel exhausting or impossible. True change begins with awareness, not forcing positive thinking, but interrupting the old script. When you catch a limiting thought, pause and ask, is this helping me become who I'm choosing to be? Then choose a thought that supports forward movement. I am learning to stay consistent. I am capable of growth at this stage of my life. It's not too late. This is my moment. Because the moment you change the thoughts you entertain, you begin changing your identity you live from. And identity, not willpower, is what sustains transformation. Now, let's talk about the practical process, the one that determines whether goals stick or fade by February. Let's start with identifying your old identity. Grab a piece of paper like the one that I'm showing you here and create a circle map like this one. In the middle is who are you now? The stories that you tell yourself, your repeated thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your habits, how you identify now. Quit. Don't stick to goals. Don't keep my own promises to myself. Overwhelmed, lack of confidence, very insecure, people pleasing, compare myself to others, hard time saying no, including the repeated thoughts and beliefs. This is too hard. I can't do this. I'm too old for this. I'm not good at using technology. It is hard to make money in social media. Social media is too saturated. I don't know enough. This is your current identity blueprint that make up the person that you are right now. There's no judgment here, just awareness. Because if you want a different life, you must first become aware of who you are currently, your thoughts, your beliefs, actions that you identify as. Now it's time to design your new identity. It's not enough to act like your new self when it's convenient. You must be her when nobody's watching, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed. If your identity only exists when results arrive, it's not identity, it's performance. Real change happens when you think like her, you talk like her, you behave like her, you choose her before motivation shows up. Write out her identity, even if it's not true yet. Embody it on paper. I always figure things out. I'm great at making money. I'm accomplishing my goals. Her thoughts. I'm someone who figures things out. Her beliefs. like I'm capable of growth at any age. Her daily actions, what are they? I read, I'm creating, nourishing my body. Her habits, what are those? A successful morning routine, breath practice, focus time, healthy choices to nourish my body. Why do this? Because language shapes belief. Neuroscience tells us that when you consistently label yourself as a certain type of person, your brain begins to predict your behavior accordingly. This is called self verifying identity, and it's a key driver of long term change. The goal for us is to keep momentum beyond February, where you get to the end of the year and you are truly amazed at who you have become. Here's where most people fall off. Early enthusiasm fades because actions aren't rooted in identity. But when your identity matches your actions, momentum becomes automatic. Here are three science backed ways to protect your momentum that you can start implementing now. Habit one is habit stacking, connecting new habits with existing ones. For example, if you read daily, do it after coffee instead of scrolling. If you are walking, listen to an audiobook or a podcast while getting ready in the morning. Listen to a motivational video or a guided gratitude or affirmations. Behavioral scientists call this contextual cueing, linking new action that you want to implement to stable environmental triggers that you already do. It dramatically increases consistency. Number two is micro commitments. Tiny, almost effortless actions build consistency, not pressure. Instead of write a book, do write one sentence daily. Instead of exercise for an hour, do 20 minutes. Number three, identity language use. Present tense identity statements. I am someone who. I choose. I consistently. This rewires self belief and strengthen identity based habit. Working on yourself and your identity is not a one time event. It's a lifelong relationship with yourself, a cycle of awareness, alignment, and embodiment, and refinement. And yes, you will stumble. You will have off days. I do too. None of us are perfect. But what matters most isn't the slip, it's whether your identity supports your ability to keep going. When you see yourself as a woman who chooses growth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when energy is low, you stop repeating the February dropout cycle. You don't quit, you recalibrate. And that's how real change happens in this season of life. Now, tell me in the comments, what is one identity shift that you are choosing today to carry you past February and into the rest of the year? And friend, if this helped you, like, subscribe, and share this with a woman who's ready for real change, not short lived motivation, but transformation that lasts. And if you take nothing else with you today, take this. You are not too old, and it is not too late. You are right on time for the woman you're becoming. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.